Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Thrylos International Midweek Edition. It's still February, but it's getting hot here at Thrylos International. Olympiacos just beat AEK 6-0, a historic win. We beat AEK, the former version. We have now beat AEK, the current version, according to the tax papers. Major accomplishment for Olympiacos today. 1 foot into the final. Just a classic Olympiacos demolishing job of AEK. It is what we grew up knowing. It's just an epic feeling. I'm here together with my two co-hosts, Matthaios and Costa. Costa, tell me, how you doing tonight?
Fantastic, man. I had a late night. I had to work late upstairs, and I had the radio on, listening a little bit, and just couldn't believe what was going on, and that I was missing the game. But yeah, sexy scoreline, and sexy, play on words there. Love it. Fantastic. Great night tonight. A little bit sour or bittersweet rather, with the two injuries. But let's looking forward to talking more about this and engaging with all the fans tonight.
Martial.
What can we exactly say after a night like that, man? It's something I thought we would never see again. Like, big win in a domestic game. Reminds us of early 21st century, I would say, with Djordjevic, Gerber and stuff, when we were crushing opponents. That game was almost perfect from start to scratch, because I think it's the kind of game we could have seen more in the league if we were more efficient against smaller teams, for example, in which you're leading 3-0 after half an hour. This is the level of the team. I'm not surprised. I wasn't expecting victory like that, but I'm not surprised this team can pull that. It's no mystery. We're entering the last phase of the season, and I just wanted this team to play every 3 days. I just want this team to see this team every 3 days, no matter who starts, no matter injuries, suspensions. The quality of the roster globally is so big, but we're going to talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah, no, Martial, I want to, we talked this weekend about Olympiacos having a kind of congested fixture list and AEK having more rest with no European games. And I think one thing I talked about, I kind of want to kick off talking about this, is one thing we talked about was, what is the disadvantage for AEK not playing European football and high pace, high physical football all season? We have been in competitive games through Europe from August, playing in difficult atmospheres, high intensity, high physicality. And this AEK team, ever since they went out against Noah, hasn't faced that except domestically. And I think tonight you just saw it. Like, AEK was completely exposed on the physical and mentality component of the game, in my opinion. Just like, they looked completely overpowered, like a team that was not ready to meet the intensity of the moment. It wasn't just like passion or excitement that was there, but it was just, I don't think physically they faced a press and bit under the pressure that much all season. And it really reminds me, this AEK team really reminds me of that Olympiacos team that Michel started to take over with James Rodriguez, with Pep Biel, with Fortunis, that like on the weekend they'd go and play Asteras, Lamia, and even some derby games, and they would play beautiful football. Like, you'd really enjoy it. But the physicality, the pressure, the ability to stick into a game was not there. Like, they can't do it. They just, I don't think I can play the way Almeida wants to play football. Like, he is so set on playing this way in a derby. And unless he changes, they cannot match Olympiacos right now. Like, physicality, pressure, intensity, mental toughness as well. You see so many mental lapses with their players. Like, Mukudi made a mistake, really fatal mistake. Vida diving in. They can't play a high line with the central defenders. So I think we saw it earlier in the season at 4-1, but tonight just hit home once again. Even with the quality that AEK signed, like star players, big names, they really are, I think it's very difficult to go from playing Greek football all season to be playing like a team that is doing very well in Europe, and that's like used to the intensity and pressure of playing in Europe. So that's how I wanted to open it. Like, I don't know if that was any of your guys' takeaway, but that was like from minute 10, that was my takeaway from watching the pitch. Like, I did not have the physical and capability to match us on the pitch today, and just they were exposed. I don't know. Costa, Marcial.
Man, I think you nailed it. Like, really, they can't follow. They really had no answers for us today. And I think, what you said about the physicality element, you see how far behind they are, and just it's like we're playing the kind of football that they were playing peak Almeida, but times 10 or times 100. Really, the intensity in our press and just the way that our players were going to the ball was really impressive. Bruno and Yaremchuk, after the game, in his post-match comments, he said, they asked him, what did the coach say to you like before the game? And he said, go and finish the round today. Like, don't think about the second leg, go and finish it today. And that you saw that in the way that we played. And when you look at Ajax team as well, to your point, they have really gifted technical players at an older age now, whether it's Lamela, Pereira in midfield, or they just don't have the same bite about them, like without Levi Garcia starting the press. And I think I agree with everything that you said. I think it's a really great analysis that you did. And surely the tie is over now for the cup. And psychologically today, it's not only have we created a psychological advantage against AEK going into the cup, the league game on Sunday, but I think that for the players on our team, if last season the Maccabi game was the turning point where they believed that they could go on and win the competition, really believe in the roster's capability, what they could do, I think that similarly today, if they had any shadow of a doubt about the team's ability to go on and win the league and dominate, I think today they answered themselves. Like, they say, okay, this is it. Like, nobody can match us in Greece. And I think that's the biggest, maybe that's even bigger than the 6-0 result tonight.
I'm watching Marcial because I just saw a monster Pavlidis goal for Benfica, and I know Marcial is watching the same thing.
No, but I agree with Costa, because I remember we talked about on the group chat of the Patreon's group chat about Piero versus Yaremchuk, and the Yaremchuk way of moving, either like sprinting, claiming the ball. I know he missed at least 2 big situations in which he could have passed the ball to Palma twice. But the amount of situation this guy has been able to create out of Ajax defense, it tells everything we need to know, because when the quality of the roster is, for me, bigger than the one under Martins, because you have, I don't know, you have Chiquinho, you have Horta, you have Costulas for the same position almost. Now you have Palma that will be in confidence for the plays after 2 nights. You have Valde, when he comes in, he finally understood that he needs to play for the team. And on the last goal, the counter one, it was key for that goal because he fought for the ball. I agree with Labros, and the fact is, every player now is fit. Physically speaking, every player is fit. He can play 90 minutes almost. A guy like Szymanski, for example, I like that guy for AEK like 1 year ago, 2 years ago. And look at the guy; he's completely lost in the midfield because there is no midfield left for AEK. You have Vida and Mukudi that can't sustain the level of back-to-back big games. You have Safi that is only good for throw-ins, like long throw-ins. You have Horta, the guy can't defend. You will probably have one good game in the playoff game in which you say, okay, this guy is good, but they have really nothing to offer. And you have finally we also have fullbacks. Like we have 4 fullbacks of good level, 4 of them. It's not only 2, it's 4, because you have Ortega, you have Bruno, you have Rodinei, and you have Costinha. And the level of Costinha in defense is so good. So it's about time that those things materialize themselves into a big win. That's what we needed. And maybe this is what Costa want to say when he say this team now understood that it's able to win every big game in Greece.
Yeah. And I think today, another one of the big takeaways for me was on Sunday, what were we saying? It was complaining about no one getting goals except for El Kabi. And we saw Yaremchuk scored today. We saw Horta scored today. We saw Palma has a goal. Like, so important that we saw. And like a bit of a hot take here, I think Yaremchuk brings his teammates better opportunities in build up and passing than El Kabi does. And maybe one of the reasons that we see some of our offensive players struggle to score with El Kabi on the pitch is because of that. Like, not saying he's a bad player, but what his play style isn't one that develops chances for other players. And you see Yaremchuk, I think he's really good on the pass and the build-up sometimes if he can read the situation correctly. He made a few misreads today, but
Yaremchuk today has been opening spaces. Like I'm not going to compare Yaremchuk to El Kabi, but
of course,
the fact I agree with your take, but Yaremchuk being able to open spaces for other players, and maybe it will offer different things for a second striker, and we might need it, especially on Sunday if El Kabi can't play, because surprisingly Yaremchuk is quite fast. Like the way he moves, it just visible this guy works daily. Like he said after a game, I came here to work hard, and this guy works. He's in shape. Like he has no extra weight. You know what I mean? It's not like second striker or rotation player we've had before that was too heavy. I'm not even talking about Willian, but he can move. And the fact that we play a high press too, this guy runs constantly. It's gonna pay off sometime. It's already paying off for me.
But we've been talking about that the last few episodes about the striker, El Kabi, some frustrations that we've had. In spite of everything, let's not forget this is Yaremchuk's first start at the Karaiskaki since he joined.
It's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
The end of February, and this is the first time he started at Karaiskaki, and he scored 2 goals. You mentioned Martial. He had 2 opportunities where he could have played square balls to Palma and could have had 2 tap-ins. But man, like we talked about it on the last show. The guys had less than 500 minutes this season, and you can see there's some rustiness in terms of that awareness on the pitch. But he showed awareness when it came to laying off an easy ball to Horta for Horta's second goal. So the quality is certainly there. And as for what you said, Labro, to me, it's not a hot take. I think maybe to the broader fan base, it is, but it's clear to me that the guy, when it comes to contributing to build up, bringing other players into the game, he's much better at doing that than El Kabi. There's no discussion there. And, it's a luxury that we have. I get to Martial's point. It's not a second, a number 2 striker coming off the bench. Not your ordinary number 2. The guy is a proper striker. He's just been lacking confidence for the past couple of seasons. And by the way, when it comes to injuries, El Kabi and Horta, they're both going to miss the game on Sunday. So that means Yaremchuk's going to start. So it's terrible to lose El Kabi, and we all hope it's nothing serious. But given what we've seen today, like maybe this could be the beginning of something for Yaremchuk as well. And I agree with both of you. The way that he plays and what he offers, it can change things up in terms of, not relying on one player to do it all for us all season.
Yeah, I honestly think it was this was like a great day, great game, but it was also just for Yaremchuk and also the manager's confidence in him really important for the rest of the season, because we're gonna need him at some point. We're gonna need him to perform, whether it's in Europe or domestically. And I think that leads me to, I want to talk about one other player today who really impressed me, and that was Bruno, the left back, who was just immense. He was immense today, guys. I don't know what our fans are thinking in the comments, but for me, he was a competitor for man of the match. Just chabuka, man, like as they say in Greek, the tackling, the physicality, aggressiveness. It was as if this guy has played for Olympiacos for a year. It was great to see, and he spoke after the match that him and Ortega have become quite close, and he's giving him advice on how to play AEK and Aliasan. And just great to see. Again, just a huge advantage for Olympiacos the second half of the season to be able to bring on this guy to come in and provide support for Ortega. Just incredible. One thing I don't know about him is how good he is going forward. So I think that remains to be seen. But today, defensively, he looked incredibly solid. Martial, opinion on the player, because I know.
No, I agree. It shows the fact. It shows the reality of the signings we've made, or at least 80% of them. It's more centered into performances from those players. Either it's Costinha, Pirola, Bruno, or Horta wasn't a surprise because we knew the guy, but still, we had Oliveira and Willian, but the thing is, those belong to the percentage of bad signing every club will have every year. But we've signed so many ready players, if I can say that. Like you have Costinha, Bruno, and Pirola, all three of them on a rotated lineup. Like there is no such thing in Greece in other clubs. Like look at the defense of PAOK we've played last Sunday. You have Otto, you have Sastre, you have Giorgos, center back. You play AEK, you have Horta, you have Haji Safi, you have Mukudi. Like the difference is massive. So winning 6-0, it's not logical in a way, but it's the gap of level that is materialized with goals. There's nothing else but that. Because just if we could rewatch the game, focusing on some players, like you focus only on Costinha, and defensively the guy has done 100% things right. Pirola, 100% things right. Like the only probably weakest player defensively was Papacanellos today, but he had barely things to do. 2 years ago we were like with Avila, with Versalco on the right back. You know what I mean? We had Yaremchuk with no backups for so many years. Of course, Bruno needs to confirm that it's going to be a sustainable solution, but something has changed in transfers. And we talk about it on the pod, the way the scouting department is doing transfers. But Bruno comes from solid season in Boavista. Yeah, I know it's a shitty team right now, but the whole Greek teams haven't signed defenders for the whole winter market.
Yeah.
Like I was reading on the Greek press, like PAOK is complaining about Mete behavior because he came back to PAOK and is unready. Do you recall the guy playing when he came in against us? He couldn't run. The guy can't run. This is the level there is between Olympiacos and the competition right now. And hopefully, if we do win on Sunday without El Kaabi and Horta, well, there is nothing less to prove to anyone.
Yeah.
to me.
I think for me to watching AEK today, just again, I think I've been saying it since September. It is insane that they were just sticking with they spent all this money and they sticking with Rota, they're sticking with Haji Safi, they're sticking with Vida, they're sticking with Mukudi. Mukudi, who's not like an awful defender, but I think he's really exposed because he's not very pacey and they're playing such a high line. He has a slow defender next to him. But it's Haji Safi is 35 years old, man. I remember when he was playing for Olympiacos like a decade ago. It's been years. Vida has been around forever. Like, how I think Vida is going, what, 36? It's crazy for Ike. I don't like I it I think they were just their squad planning, like you said, like got exposed today just by, it's just it's not sustainable for them, and their quality has carried them clearly throughout the
Yeah,
season, but
the-
it's getting back to bite them here at the end.
yeah, man. Look at the thing. You have the look at the player that started that game. You have Pirola, under 21, captain of Italy. Costinha, best right back on the Portuguese league last season. Bruno, one of the best left back in Portugal, and Carmo, well, Conference League winner, biggest transfer for Porto. There is no comparison between that back line and AEK. Not even comparison with PAOK, with Panathinaikos that is playing Palmer Brown. They're playing Mladenovic. You know what I mean? It reminds me of the episodes we were doing 2 years ago when we were saying like you can't cheat with football with Marcelo playing as a 6. You can't cheat with football if your defense is not properly set, and if there is any bad players in it, declining player, you're gonna pay the price for that. We solved that. We solved that.
It's so true, Martial. And I think one of, going back to the summer, seems like we do this every now and then. We got shit on so much by fans for saying it was a good summer and that it was a good window. And it's more to do with the foundation that was set. We brought in a lot of good players on good contracts that have resale value and that we can develop. And it's so important. Like, we're building a core of young players, hungry players, internationals, guys who it shouldn't be bad to say want to play, Champions League. They want to play in the top 5 leagues one day. Like, it's really exciting. And the group we've built with Mendilibar is very solid group of players. And maybe we've lost that individual win the game by themselves talent in certain players, but we've gained so much as well. So completely agree. And the one thing people were saying today, I remember I was opening our Patreon and people said, oh wow, Ike went full strength and we rotated, we may eat it today. It's going to be very difficult today. And just like, look what it's like, look what happened. Like, I predicted a 2-2 before the game. But yeah, Ike just dominated, man. Of course, thoughts?
Not much to say to that, man. He said everything. I don't know what you want me to say.
Anything? Any thoughts? Any random thoughts on the game?
No, mate. I think we end up talking more about AEK to a certain degree. It's just a very unbalanced squad. They can get away with beating the lesser teams with the technical quality they have in their players up front. And, again, I was looking at their squad the other day and looking at the individuals up top. And I think, there are players there that can finish a game by themselves against lower opposition. But the gap in quality that we saw today is massive. Like, it would be an absolute catastrophe if we don't win the league this season. If we don't do the double, even, it's an absolute must. Like, we have everything that we need. I'm convinced. I'm convinced that there is absolutely nothing other teams can do to stop us. Have we have we lost? We haven't lost the derby. We've dropped points against Panathinaikos at home in the league, right? That's as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
And that was our bane, like the previous seasons. We were getting the results against the mid-table, lower league table teams, and then just struggling in the derbies to get wins. I mean, it's now the other news I suppose that we should share is about Mendilibar. Nikolakopoulos came out on the radio right after the game and saying that he will sign a new contract. That's being worked on diligently by the staff, everyone at the club, the ownership. So, he had the crowd shouting his name again. And man, I don't know if we can say also that we, you, Labro, I think everyone on the pod is feeling vindicated about what we said very early on in the season, that the roster is better than the one that won the Conference League last season. And it takes time. It takes time. Everybody will get their opportunity. Tonight could be a turning point for Yaremchuk. We saw, over the last few weeks, Julien Biancon's become an important part of the team as well. One thing I do want to say about the defense, I really appreciate what Biancon's brought the last few weeks, particularly when it comes to his ball playing ability against the lower teams. Tonight, though, the two centre backs, Pirola, man. We talk about signings, and I was talking to an AEK fan earlier in the week, and we were giving it a bit of banter about today's game. And he said to me, you guys are obviously like super strong, doing well in Europe, but none of your transfers have really paid off. You've really relied on Mouzakitis and Kostoulas and the young guys, who, by the way, neither of them played tonight. And I think we forget very easily that how good Pirola has turned out to be for us. Earlier in the season, Ari and I were saying he looks better than Carmo at the beginning of the season. You remember, it took Carmo some time to kind of, it was inconsistent at best, if I can say that. And we forget Costinha as well. I think, Palma's performances the last couple of games haven't really wowed, but I mean, the goal that he scored today, the flick that he gives, I think on the Yaremchuk goal that goes to Horta, and the finish for the goal is. When's the last time you saw a curler like that from like the edge of the box into the opponent's opposing corner? It was beautiful to watch. So,
and our transfers failed, Costa, like your friend said. But I think Pirola and Costinha are both 15 million euro players. Like, what kind of failed transfers are that? Like, do you sell either of those guys for less than 15 million euros? No, fuck no. This is what I'm saying. Like, the transfers this summer, they didn't pop right away and everyone wasn't super excited. But these are long-term assets, that are building blocks for the team. You know what I mean? Like, we have multiple 10 million euro plus players at the club right now. Like, we can go through the list. Zolakis, Kostoulas, Mouzakitis, Eze, Pirola, Carmo on loan. Costinha, I think, like, Ortega's probably getting close to 8 million euro player. Like
that's
El Kabi
another
into the
thing.
market, he'd probably be around 10 million himself. Like, so it's just, there's like very quality assets on this team right now. Like, did we whiff on Willian and Oliveira? Yes, like that happens. They were two transfers that were maybe a bit panicky, driven by, the fan base was upset. The club felt they had to do something, and they failed. Okay, they failed, but we also have strengthened our squad and our team incredibly well, and we've positioned ourselves extremely well if we do go up to the Champions League or to Europa League again next season. We're in a really fucking good spot to build upon this base that we've built, and we're not in a position where we need to sell assets either. Like we're in a very strong position as a club. We're very healthy right now, I would say. So
maybe one day we'll remember the fact that Costinha played for Olympiacos. I've been thinking about it like since he joined the club. For the amount of football I watch every week and the level of Olympiacos in the league and in Europe, you don't get to see fullbacks like Costinha. You don't have more than 10 Costinhas on the market right now, because you do have a lot of players like Bruno, for example, that could play on the 3 center backs defense, like guys like Masuaku in the past, guys like, I don't know. And the thing I was liking with Omar back in the day is that you don't really find a right back that will be around 7 out of 10 on 45 games a season. And Costinha is like that, and I think he's even better. The guy in defense, I don't have any words to describe the guy, because we aren't used to see those fullbacks for Olympiacos, because we do prefer players like Rodinei, like more offensive, that are perceived like offensive fullbacks. But Costinha, man, this guy is gonna play if he's smart enough to pick a good club. When he moves from Olympiacos, he's gonna play like I don't know, Inter Milan, like elite clubs. Like this guy will go straight to elite club. I'm sure of it. It's nice we refused the Zenit's offer, because this guy deserves so much better. Top 5 league ready already, and not for the small clubs.
I think it's super interesting for me, at least. I can say how transfer policy has evolved. Football's evolved since the days that I was a younger guy watching Giovanni play, Rivaldo, Djordjevic, Giorgos, all these guys and all the big names that came to Olympiacos, from the Zé Eliases to the Carambos to I mentioned Rivaldo. But to the point we've been making, those big name signings that Olympiacos fans have been used to, or that, the ones that we have become accustomed to, the Vomves Megatonon, the airport signings, who cares, man? Like, I think the fan base seriously underestimates the scouting network, or just the network that we have at our disposal. And again, the benefits of multi-ownership. For the last couple of years, the narrative around Nottingham Forest, it was about, does Marinakis or spend more time at the Forest game? Today he was at the Forest City ground watching Forest Arsenal. He wasn't at Karaiskaki. Nobody gives a shit. Of course, we've won 6-0 today and things are good. But my point is, like, we're seeing the benefits of what's been built up by the ownership, with Rio Ave being able to access players like Costinha, having a network in Portugal to be able to pick out players like Bruno. Okay, the sample is very small, but you see things building up, where now we've brought in the head scout of Feyenoord, Yannis Agas. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, like from those people, the people doing data analytics in the scouting department. There's method to all of this. It's not chance. Yeah. And sometimes you're going to pick a dud, or sometimes a player is not going to turn up for you. Christopher Valde might not be a hit at Olympiacos. He might go to another club and he might fit better, and he might be a 10 out of 10. I don't know. Not every there's always risk with transfers, but at least for Olympiacos fans that are hitting their 40s, like thinking about where we've come from in terms of transfers, what we're used to, and where we are now, where we're moving light years away. And I guess my simple point here is, guys, it's not about the big names. Like, trust the process. I know it's cliche, but there is something good here. There is a strong foundation. There are visible benefits to the multi-ownership model. Don't be stuck in your thinking about, oh, you know, what if we sell Heze to Forest? Or, you know, oh, Carmo is going to go back to Forest in the, you know, for next season. We have a good thing going here. Trust the process. And yeah, I just wanted to make that point about the scouting network. And it's something we talked about with VP Karapapas at the beginning of the season in terms of the benefits and what it brings to Olympiacos.
Our central defenders are the best in the league, I would say, this season. And
Easily. They're the best in the Europa League statistically.
Like, Retsos is the oldest one. Isn't he like 25? 26? Something like that. But it's like insane to think about that. We have the best central defense. Like, Biancone is 23 years old. Do people realize like how young that guy is? Pirot is under 21. Carmo is how old? Like 25 too? So it's
if only Retsos was able to play like 45 games a season, it would be such a game changer, because I don't know, the having either Retsos or Biancone in Greek games really brings you passing ability that can unlock situations. And the thing I wanted to say too is I remember we've said on the post multiple times that the job at Olympiacos may be difficult because there is pressure, there is stuff like that. But man, if you do put a simple coach, I'm not saying Mendilibar is a simple coach, but he looks like simple coach when you compare the guy to someone like Corberan, for example. If you do have some results, the guy wants a smaller roster. He said probably no to multiple signings because the club just signed too many players. This is, the job at Olympiacos can become very easy in terms of quality you have to handle if you are smart enough to understand the context. And that's why Mitchell was successful for Olympiacos, because when Mitchell gets to Olympiacos, probably thinks that it's closer to what Real Madrid is in Spain, and a player from La Castilla in Madrid is good enough to win smaller Spanish games. And the same applies to Olympiacos. If you do simple things, the quality you have is always bigger than the opposition. Like, you have to throw Stamenic might be the only flop left on the squad, and this guy probably would start for AEK, for PAOK, if he was given more playing time. And what I love the most with Mendilibar is that he's showing that this club can do wonders if you do work simple. Football is the simplest sport on earth. We do not want tactical coaches. I'm not going to blame Corberan only because I respect the guy, but it was visible this guy could not success with Olympiacos because it was too difficult. The task for him was too difficult, and the profile he had was too difficult. And probably same apply for Martinez, because Martinez was unlucky. But having a coach like Mendilibar is like what every football fan wants. Like, we all support other teams above Olympiacos, and we would all want a guy like Mendilibar. It's simple, man. Football is simple. You have 23, 24 players that can start anytime. You have hierarchy, but everyone can be a starter if needed. He rotates. He gives everyone opportunities. And I know we were pissed by that in the past, but still, it's the only recipe that could work with Olympiacos with such big players at the same time, at the same moment.
Yeah. And I think also younger managers like Martinez and Corberan are trying to build their career and like style of football and things like that. They're trying to find how they want to play football. And Mendilibar is like in his 60s, man. He knows how he wants to play football, and he doesn't give a shit about like, trying things out and trying to be sexy for his next move or something like that. So I thought that was interesting. Also, I want to read Stefano's comment here. Thank you for the €10 donation. He has an exclusive from the stadium for our audio listeners. He says, Bandalos, the GOAT, former Fiorentina supporter, I added that in there, saw Mendilibar in the dressing room after the game and told him, tell your boys this ain't over. that is of course in reference to Andre Horta saying that was it like Roy Keane or something against Maccabi Tel Aviv. And then we have another comment from
Robbie
Mushkai.
Keane there.
Robbie Keane, sorry. Just imagine it says 6 instead of 2. Thank you for the €2 donation. But yeah, guys.
Thank you.
Just I feel like we always get into interesting discussions here. Like sometimes we go away from the game, and get into more philosophical, interesting things. But how different, I'm going to change how different is this game on Sunday going to be? Like, do you think AEK is going to, their fans, Almeida, they're pissed off and they're like, this is our last stand. We're going to stick it to these guys and we're going to do it. We're super excited tonight, but it goes to 0-0, the first minute kicks off Sunday. How do you think mentally they're going to respond and we should be ready to respond?
The question I had is, because we know that Almeida was almost close to leave the club mid-season, and I wonder if the guy is going to die with his ideas, to somehow prove the club hasn't signed a player he wanted to. And I don't know, because second place looks secure for me for AEK. It's not done yet, but I don't see them being below second place. But I don't know. I just don't see Almeida remaining at the club anyway. And I just wonder if this guy is able to die with a team that we're going to play just like they play tonight, or is he able to change the shape to secure results? I don't know.
It's funny because he mentioned after the game that they had a certain game plan to not let us do what we're good at. He said you can't give a meter to Olympiacos, they'll punish you. He said we're the level that we're playing at, you can't do that. So there's a comment here from Louis, says they're going to park the bus on the weekend, but that's not how they play.
They can't.
They can't do that.
Cannot.
No.
They can't play that way. It's not possible. It's not.
They can't do that. They can't do that. So, frankly, going into the game on Sunday, I don't know. It's going to take something close to a miracle to be able to change those player psychology going into that game. And okay, if they have a sense of ego, certainly that's going to kick in and they're going to want to respond. And sometimes after a bad result, you want the next game to come quickly so that you have to get on with it. But it's one thing, a bad result's one thing. A 6-0 drumming is something humiliating. And you're going home now, and if things aren't going well in the first 10 minutes, the crowd's going to turn on them and it's going to be ugly. They're the ones with the pressure now playing that game on Sunday at Papa Arena. We're going to be comfortable going to where we won the Conference League. I believe is it the first time we're going back there since we won it?
I think so. Yeah, we played the first game in the league at home, so here's the second one away. Yeah.
So I think, barring the injuries, and some people in the chat have commented, I think Christos mentioned
Horta and El-Kabi unavailable.
El-Kabi probably out for a month is some of the news that I've been seeing. And there's a picture, actually. You can see him grabbing for his hamstring there, his right hamstring. So that doesn't look promising. If it's what we think it is, then he's a month minimum. So he'll miss Bode Glimt, he'll miss AEK, and he'll miss the beginning of the playoffs. And Horta looked like a calf strain. I saw him do this to the physio, so he's probably pulled the calf, so he might be out a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and he we haven't really talked about him today. How do you guys think he impacted the game? Like, I mean, obviously he's got 2 goals. He's in the right place at the right time. We know he brings the energy. What did you guys think of Horta today?
I just
Martial?
wanted to jump on a point you made just before about the psychology. Let's not forget that when we were suffering the last 2 seasons, we had those games in which we lose badly and we were expecting reactions, and those reactions they don't come when you don't have mental strength. When you eat 6-0, the pride might kick in, as you said, but it's not a miracle recipe, because a football game is to be played with abilities. And I'm not going to say we already won the game on Sunday, but under Mitchell, for example, we barely won the derbies that came out after European disasters, after another derby loss. A part of I recall the Leoforos derby last season with Padense and Jovetic securing Europe because we lost the title. But a part of that, you can't make miracles. And coming back to Horta, man, his game was amazing. His game was amazing, and it shows also we know the quality of the guy, and I don't know, it fits so well what Manny wants, what this team needs. The context of the club suits him very well, and the fact it doesn't need time to be good, it's a good indication, because how many times we made player return and they weren't able to sustain the level of the club. Yeah. I'm not gonna drop names, but like Toure, Miralas, when they came back, they were done for football. I really hope we can sign the guy on a permanent basis, because this guy in the Greek league with Champions League on the side, it's going to be quite good.
Yeah. I also just, I don't know why I remember that, but that Luis Palma goal just reminded me of the Guerrero goal against Krasnodar. It's very similar to that one, a little bit different, but I hadn't seen one like that. Same end of the pitch. I was there, so I remember it super clearly. I was behind the bench, and you could see it curling perfect and hit the post and go in. Just an epic goal. I don't know why it came to my head just now, but I think Horta, man, yeah, something just clicks with him in the system, and it was so weird. I don't know. It was freaky for me to watch him at Braga when he came to the Karaiskaki, and he looked so poor, if I'm being honest, very mediocre. And I was like, what the fuck? This is not the player I remembered. He gave away that one goal, kicking over. He never did that. And I wonder if it's the instruction or the way relationship with Mendy. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly clicked here. And the interplay between Palma, him, and Yaremchuk as well, just excellent stuff. And it is worrying about the injury, now with Chiquinho also dealing with a problem. We're definitely going to be down on some options, but I think I would rather be in this position than having too many players, if that makes sense. Having too many players is even worse, because they're not ready, they're not played, and they're also not in a good mood. They're whining. Martial, go. I know you want to talk about this.
You know what's not gonna happen? It's Mendilibar using 5 subs. If he doesn't have Horta, Chiquinho, and El Khabi, there's no way he's gonna make 5 subs.
Yeah,
he's gonna throw Valde in, probably Stamenic, and surely not even a center back, because Redso's out. So yeah, he's gonna throw 3 players per game, in my opinion, until one of the 3 comes back, which is fine, because for me, if you do have to make 5 subs, it shows 2 things. Either you're losing bad and you're throwing 3 players at the same time, just like Almeida did today with 4 players at the same time, or either you want to rotate the team because you're winning 3-0. But if you're winning 1-0, you're not gonna change 5 players, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
it's time for some players to step up. If we do plan on Palma being there next season, in Champions League. Like, he has to play those games to show he can score in those games. I'm not gonna say we need to accept the team bottling the title due to injuries, but if the players that were signed to be key player or to help the team aren't able to help the team, and it's the price to pay. It's football logic, in my opinion.
But we shouldn't. Like, that's the thing. I think we have the quality and the players and the belief in the system. I think and we also have the March international break, right? Like, that's coming up. I think we have 2 games, right? Like, we have 2 games that are not season defining, but season changing, right? We have this game against AEK, and we have Bodo Glimt, and we're a bit shorthanded, yes. But it's all to play for here. We're at our peak almost right now. Like, we're scoring goals for fun. We're building opportunities. The players are up for it, and I don't know. It just feels like this is, like Costa said at the very beginning, like the stars are starting to align a bit. Like, the players are going to come back from their injuries right when we need them, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see. I don't know.
One thing I do want to say about that is the togetherness that this team has shown. It gives me confidence that despite the injuries to key players, I think that the squad and the players will be galvanized. And those players that will come in, and the rest of the other players on the team, knowing the problems we have, they will give that little bit extra to make up for it. That's my feeling.
You're right. And also, let's not forget, this is what basically Yaremchuk said, that he wanted to prove to the coach they are worthy of the opportunities, and that there is Champions League to be played next season. Do you think Yaremchuk plan on to play Champions League? Yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. He's not going to play Champions League with any other team in Europe, most likely. And the objectives, I think Mendilibar perfectly handled the squad, because basically every player has something to play for. You have Biancone, that has been frustrated because he was injured last season. He can become a starter for Olympiacos. You have Carmo, that probably wants to have a chance with Nottingham in the Premier League. You have guys like Gelson, Palma, that wants to play Champions League with Olympiacos. You have Yaremchuk, want to show he can be more than a second striker. I don't know. You have Muthakitis, Kostulas wanting to play big things with Olympiacos, and that recipe together, it's something that other Greek teams does not have, and it has to pay off. And even if Chiquinho, it would be easier with Chiquinho, Horta, and El Khabi fit, but sometimes in football you have to grind it. And the game on Sunday is gonna come after a massive boot of confidence. And if we do feel the lineup that handed the game, bar El Khabi, we can win this game too. Like, there is no proof injury stops you from winning games, unless you have massive flu disease, just like we had before. I think it was.
I also think, okay, I have a bit of a hot take that's coming. I also think the group of players that came on, that we played today, gelled so well, even better than like what we've seen this season. Like, more so, this is going to sound crazy, like that lineup of El Khabi, Chiquinho, Gelson, what is it, like Kostulas and like Musak. This lineup, like, the interplay was like the players just flowed better. Yeah, I want to say like the midfield of Danny Garcia and Eze was like very fucking good today. Sorry for the F-bomb. So very good today as well. Like, anyway, that's another hot take from me as well. It's just like these different pieces that have none of these guys have played together this season. They just, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think Yaremchuk has played with Palma, with Horta, with, Rodinei on the wing, or Bruno at left. And like, you put them all together and it created something kind of beautiful that I don't think we were all like, we've seen a ton of times with the same group of players, like our normal starters, let's say.
But Horta's assisted Yaremchuk today. Yaremchuk has assisted Horta. They've both got 2 goals today. And I'm glad you mentioned the 2 central midfielders, because they're the ones that no one's going to talk about today. No one's going to talk about them, but they've done such an amazing job in the midfield. Like, they've created the conditions for us to be able to do what we did with the running that they did, and just the constant harassment and bullying. They bullied Ajax midfield. Like, Robert Pereira didn't exist on the pitch today. Like, their midfield just did not exist. Completely outplayed them, outmuscled them, outthought them, and they deserve their flowers and recognition for today's game as well. Like, I'm glad you mentioned it. I did want to say that earlier on. Danny Garcia, I think he's directly involved in the 3rd goal, or was it Yaremchuk's 2nd goal? He steals the ball like high up the field, and it, goes to one of our players, passing to the box, and we score. Yeah. So it's not always the fancy things, man. But like, it's interesting how, you remember earlier on in the season we were saying, I was saying it, I never want to see Santiago Heze play with Danny Garcia in midfield ever again. But the way we lined up with that formation today, it worked beautifully. And I think, again, you raise a really, really good point in terms of the lineups that we've been seeing earlier in the season that haven't been able to break down defenses in Greece, with, El Kabi, Chiquinho, Valde, and Gelson. There's just, the other big thing, hot take or not, Rodinei is the starting right winger every game. Every big game, it has to be him.
Martial agrees with you, I think. Yeah, this shit with like Valde and Gelson Martins does not work on the wings, in my opinion. Like, it just does not. We saw it, Martins, Willian, like it. I don't know why it has not worked at all when we fielded those like 2 normal winger lineups. Like, it's worked when we've done Kostulas on the wing, but when we've done like 2 proper wingers like Valde, Martins, Willian, they've not worked. It like doesn't work very. It like on the weekends, like with Valde, I guess we can say it worked. But I don't think we played our full potential when we see. I don't know why, but I agree with you, Kostam. I agree completely.
I agree, because the main reason for why I'm agreeing is because when something works in football, you have to build on it until it doesn't. Yeah. And sometimes it might be just someone shifting from being a right back to a right winger. The energy alone of Rodinei is almost enough to win games. And the fact is, he's probably playing his best football ever. He's peaking. We need to build on that. I don't even care if Rodinei has to be injured at some point of the season because he has played too much. This is the risk we need to take. And this is the thing I wanted to say about injuries is, yes, El Kabi played too much, probably. We all agree on that. But it's a risk this club has to take, because we play 3 competitions. With 2, we have good chances to win, and 1 in which we can go even further. If it takes, 15 players to be injured, and for us to go 100% of the potential, it's a risk we need to take. And Rodinei, for me, is the starting right winger. I agree with Costa, because it allows Mendilibar to pick a left winger between Gelson and Palma, most likely, and Valde. I don't think Valde is going to be effective offensively for this club. I can smell it. This guy not going to click offensively, but he knows that if he defends, if he works for the team, just like he's doing recently, he's going to have a role. It's going to be 20 minutes, half an hour, even more if the context allows it. And I think he shifted mentally. He shifted mentally because he wasn't there for some months. And not every winger needs to have statistics. And I'm not going to say I value more Valde defense than Podense statistics, for example. But one of them is most sustainable for a team over time, over a season. And I'm not comparing Valde to Potense, but you know what I mean. It's Gelson's statistics aren't really impressive compared to Potense's one, but I think it's more essential to the team, given what it brings. And I think it will apply to Palma by the end of the season.
Yeah, I think Palma is going to be extremely useful. Extremely useful. I think the next question I really have is like, do you just go with the same group minus Horta to Opaparina? Like maybe you change Ortega in, but like, am I bringing Musakitis into the midfield instead of Eze or Danny Garcia? Like, I don't think so. After the game he produced against PAOK, like, no offense to him. I think I switch Costulas for Horta and maybe Ortega for Bruno. And you go, man. Like, you play with the players that are hot, man. You know, they just beat them 6-0.
Yeah,
Like, let him go again, man. Like, sometimes things are simple. Like, let him go. Let him go again with Costulas instead of Horta. I don't know what you guys think. Like,
no, it allows you to have Musakitis, Gelson, Valde
come off
on
the bench.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, I don't know. What do they say? Like, in basketball, you keep the hot hand on the court. You know, like, you keep if a guy's making buckets, like, you don't take him off the court. Like,
I mean, it wasn't.
I don't know. It's a risk, but I don't know.
Help me out here, because like I had kind of half an eye on the game when I could while I was working and listening, but it felt like Horta's role today on the pitch, it wasn't so much that he was pulling the strings like with amazing passes in behind the defense or anything like that, which is what you expect from a player playing in his position. It was more just like his runs in behind and like his positioning, like awareness and link up play with the other players. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you actually stick Costulas into that position to play against AEK, again, with his monster physicality, his presence, and his finishing ability, against that AEK defense, that's still scary. Like, and I'm annoyed, I'm pissed, I'm upset that we're going to miss Horta for however long. But man, putting Costulas in there next to Yaremchuk, the amount of spaces that Yaremchuk's going to create for Costulas and vice versa, that's a scary proposition for AEK's defense, and it might even be scarier than today.
You have Gelson off the bench. You have options. You have Musakitis off the bench if you need it to change something. Like, I think you go with a similar lineup from tonight. Like, I would maybe start Ortega, maybe just because we know him better, but Bruno was excellent tonight. Very good. So
can we also talk about that? Can we also just talk about that counter attack? Was it on the 6th goal? There was the one-touch flick from El Kabi into Rodinei, and was it Rodinei that played that long ball over the top for Gelson to run into, and then El Kabi's made the run from behind the halfway line where he flicked it to get into the right position and tap it in. It was beautiful. Like, it just, you were watching it unfold, and you're like, oh, this is sex. This is live.
Today is one of those days where we scored so many goals and missed so many chances that it's all merged into one in my head. Like, I need to rewatch the game because there were just too many goals for me to like. I remember the El Kabi one, but I'm just like, I remember Gelson's run and I remember hit the pass and the goal, but like, I don't remember. It's one of those days where there's just too many where you can't even remember specific chances. But
like, I'm curious, actually. I wanted to see if I could find the stats for the Marshall. I don't know if you can find the stats, like how many shots we had in total, like on target, off target, and we've scored 6. Like, we had 18 shots on target. 18 shots, I think, on goal against PAOK in the previous game, and like today we
had
pretty
6
ruthless.
shots on goal today. 6 shots on goal.
6 shots on target and 6 goals. There you go.
Yeah, 11 shots in total.
Also, I just want to say I've been looked at because I mentioned toe punt on the last pod.
Yes.
But the
I
toe
thought
punts
about you.
in foot, for the amount of time I've played football when I was younger, like toe punts, it's something you can't really control, but it scores you so many goals because you just beat the goalkeeper out of power with toe punts. And the toe punts of Yaremchuk was so clever because he was chased by the defender. He had no ability to position himself nicely, and hopefully he shows that to Gelson Martins, because Gelson Martins is the player that creates most situations out of pace, and when he has to shoot, he's almost falling every time. And this is why toe punts matters in football. And those are the small things that shows you Yaremchuk is a decent urban striker. Like, it's not the best one for sure, but how many strikers in Greece produced a game like he did tonight? Maybe Ioannidis against Lens, for example, in qualifiers when he was playing on himself alone, maybe. But yeah.
It's crazy that we were going to get rid of him for Jefte or Hefte. And, you know, it's just like, I was saying it like in our Patreon chat, people are like, he's banging goals for Ceres, like he's a good player. But it's like, Yaremchuk is like over 60 million euros in transfer fees in his career. It's like, you think people are like insane? Like, you think like Hefte's last team was like a third division team in Cyprus or something, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you can't compare the level of the player. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, the guy has played Champions League. He's like the starting striker for his national team. Yeah, it just, he's struggled here and he's frustrated us a lot. But it's just, you don't reach those achievements by being shit, you know, and just being mediocre. And he's going to be valuable, and he proved valuable today. And for his sake, for our sake, I'm really looking forward to his performance on Sunday. Fingers crossed, like it goes well.
I was joking, or no, half joking, half being serious before the game, saying Yaremchuk hat trick incoming, and he could have had 3 or 4 today. There was one, I think, there was an opportunity that actually, Horta created, and I don't know, you guys must have noticed it as well. He was on the last defender, like playing off the shoulder, and he made eye contact with Horta, who was like on the other side, and he's just kind of gone, play it in front of me, and Horta's picked out a beautiful ball, and he's connected with it on the volley, and it's gone over. But man, when he's match fit, I swear, like when this guy's confidence is back close to 100%, the guy's easily a 20+ goal like striker, Greek league, Europe, whatever you want. Yeah, I don't know why I said that. One thing, yeah, that's right. Betancourt, man, I had friends from Cyprus texting me legit, like after that news came out, and they were like, Costa, what are you doing? Like, why are you signing this guy? Like, seriously, there's no, like you said, man, there's no comparison, not just in terms of achievements and transfer fees accumulated, but nah, man. I mean, okay, seriously, what's this guy gonna come and do? Be a third striker at Olympiacos? I don't know. Anyway, I won't say more.
No, it's a guy like Yaremchuk most likely will have better games overall than a guy like Hassan, but less goals. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Hassan scored better, but can you name one good game this guy had with us? It's not the same profile, I know, but the game Yaremchuk had today, it's exactly what I wanted to say. What I wanted to see, because he plays exactly like someone that could be a starter in games the team win and in which it doesn't score.
Yeah.
If it doesn't miss sitters like he missed in Tripoli, I don't recall where exactly he missed some insanely big sitters, but he offers so many things that unlocks other players, and it matters almost as much as goals. If the team can be efficient, which was the case tonight, we're going to win this game, because the mistake of Mukudi is a mistake, but if there isn't any striker around the guy, there is no goal after that. Yaremchuk knew the center back was going to make a mistake. It reminds me. I don't know. It reminds me. I don't recall the name. I'm trying to find. But he can create goals with nothing, like only aggressivity. And we're gonna play the same. You're gonna play the same defenders on Sunday. It's gonna be Vida and Mukudi, or it's gonna be Vida or Mitoglu. I don't know.
You think Mitoglu would be like a upgrade to them this weekend? Like, I'm just, who is their backup left back for Haji Safi? Because I don't know. Martial, do you know?
It's the Greek chap, yeah.
Man, I can't imagine being an AEK fan, because I hated Haji Safi 10 years ago, and now he's 35 and playing for AEK. It's insane. Fucking child me was hating Haji Safi, and 10 years later, this random Iranian guy is still playing in Greek football. It's insane. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. He's 36 years old, I think, and he's playing. He's the day and day starter for AEK in a team that has Anthony Martial and Eric Lamela. It's insane. It's the logic is
again. We're talking about them and their transfer strategy again, but it was just seriously, what were these guys thinking in the summer when they went, to use your words, they almost went full Turkish.
They went full Turkish, man. And
you remember that?
I wish I could tell 16-year-old me, man, wait one day, Eric Lamela and Haji Safi and Roberto Pereira are gonna share the pitch at AEK in a decade. 16-year-old me would have been bro, no way, what? And I would have been maybe I could believe Lamela at the end of his career, but bro, Haji Safi is awful, and he's 25 right now. He's terrible. There's all he can do is long throws. There's no way.
Wasn't he a Papacanellos legend? Yeah, it's him and Ansari.
No, that was the other guy. That was the 10. What was that guy's name?
Haji Safi was there too.
Yes, he was.
Haji Safi, Masoud, and Ansari Farde, who played at Papacanellos, right?
Yeah. They got kicked from the national team because they play a qualifier in Israel, if you remember.
Yeah.
Man, he's the captain of the... And I feel I'm going in on him too hard. Maybe he's not but it's just... It's like that, that...
He's a 30... Man, he was on the verge of being finished when he played for us.
Yes.
Honestly,
he's like that. AEK is like that team that is that race car, but then it's a horse at the back. It's the drawing gets messed up. It's a beautiful race. Have you seen that meme? Someone in the listening will see it and will know it. But it's it starts as a race car, and then the back is a donkey or something. It's maddening to me. It reminds me of when I said let's go full Turkish, man. Let's go full Turkish and sign James and Marcelo and everything, because it's crazy. And it's not they have bad players too. Szymanski is not, I think he's fallen a level, but yeah, crazy. It's crazy. It's a really weird team to play.
I'm gonna have to head to bed.
Okay, do you want to give us your man of the match and coach's grade?
Man of the match has to be Horta for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
For me, it would be, on a philosophical point of view, Yaremchuk, because he played exactly as I was expecting from a striker, but he missed too much to be the man of the match. Coach's grade is going to be A-. The minus has to be El Kabi coming in that wasn't really needed, but it's the risk. Every player wants to play those games, so it's difficult for the coach not to put them on. And so let's see what he's gonna do on Sunday. That being said, see you on Sunday, guys.
Peace out, Martial.
Bye-bye.
Costa, with something Martial said, and it's a happy evening, but what did you think of Papacanellos when he came on real quick before we do our coach's grade and wrap up? I thought he was very poor when he came on. Like, not poor in like quality and how, but just not, all the other players were intense, running, and he came in and like El Kabi, like he was tracking back to go press, and El Kabi blitzed past him to run down like on the press. And it was just amazing. Like, you know what I mean? It was just, you are an 18, 19-year-old playing AEK at home, like getting the opportunity to prove yourself. And it's like, you're not giving it, like you almost want to shake him. Like, come on, man, like get into the game, And I thought that was a bit frustrating. And I think he has been one of the more disappointing, like, story cases of the season, in my opinion. His inability to break into the team. And when he does play, looks very almost like lazy, or I don't know how to explain it.
Mate, at the beginning of the season, I think when we were having this discussion, I can't remember if we discussed Papacanellos specifically, but out of the three, or let's say the 5 players, out of the 5 players that were promoted, including Koutsidis and Bakoulas, who have both gone on loan, for me, Papacanellos was the one that, if I'd rank them 1 to 5, likeliest to succeed, he was bottom for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say like anything about his attitude because I don't know the kid. Like, I've heard some talk about him. Not, maybe it's not the time to say it now, but you look at how Kostoulas and Mouzakitis play. They're like dogs.
They're like Mendilibar players, man. Like, they're just like
you
he's like
unleashed
Mendilibar is the owner, and he's like holding the dogs back, and he's like, He's
like, they fit into the mentality of the coach in terms of intensity, buying into the system, the direct way of play, the high press. I think their football IQ and understanding of their awareness, positioning on the field is much, much higher than Papacanellos. I think Papacanellos, out of the 5 of them, or let's just stick to the 3 that are there now, I think Papacanellos is the most talented out of the 3 in terms of technical ability and the things that he can do with the ball. But there's the saying, work hard, beat talent if talent don't work hard. Yeah. And that applies to him. I think it's the perfect way to describe the player. He has to work harder. He is too delicate. He's too much of a Fortounis before Fortounis started to show a bit of aggression in like the last season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, it's a bit too timid.
It's timid, just, then in Greek we say that Deleños pektis. He's elegant, he's delicate, but he needs to be more aggressive. And if he really there's opportunity for him, Valde hasn't really shown much yet at this point in the season, and I feel like whenever he's been given the opportunity, he hasn't performed like more than a 6. And getting 10 minutes at the end of the game isn't a lot. I had an argument with somebody earlier in the week and saying, he only got 10 minutes. It's like, yeah, but at his age, he needs to show something, and even if it's not like, I don't think people people might be expecting to see step overs from him and him beating a man, getting a nice cross in, doing something fancy. No, do the basics, do the simple things, stuff that we were talking about like earlier on in the pod today, and he's not doing that. And I think everything, at the end of the day, you get what you deserve. The other 2 boys are deservedly first team players, important first team players, and he's still on the fringes trying to break in, and he needs to do more. He has the talent, he has the ability. We know it, we've seen it. Frankly, even in the youth league games, the last one I've seen him play, I heard caveat. I did hear that he had a knock and he was playing with an injury in the last game against Girona, where he didn't look great. And last thing I'll say on that, man, Pnevmonidis, the winger in the youth team right now, he looks more ready. He
Mendy's
looks more
system as
ready.
well. Yeah.
He looks more ready for the system and to play in Mendilibar's team than Papacanellos does right now.
Yeah. I would love to have Bakulas available with the team to go, to right now. But anyway, he's getting an important experience. So, of course, who's your man of the match, and what's your coach's grade?
Coach's grade, it has to be what? Is it even
It's an
worth
A.
saying?
The only thing is the El Kabi bringing
The
on,
sub.
I guess, is what people. Yeah.
I agree. Like my gut reaction when the subs were coming on was just like, why don't you give 90 minutes to the Ukrainian today?
Yeah, just like let him score the hat trick as well. Like let him do it.
If I'm trying to understand it, if I'm trying to understand the sub, it's probably because he wants to keep El Kabi like in a good rhythm, and he probably would have started him in the game on Sunday. I think we're all pretty certain of that, despite the two goals from Yaremchuk. So it is what it is, man. It's football. Like injuries is part and parcel of the game. Bad luck. My man of the match, I'm giving it to the Ukrainian. I love that he scored 2 goals today. I thought he was super active and very, very, very happy for him. And I hope it's his moment, like in the season where he flicked the switch and the confidence really starts to shine through.
I'm torn between 3, I guess. Andre Horta for me was fantastic today. But also Luis Palma, man, put in a winger performance that I feel like we haven't seen in a little bit of time. Yeah, like that's nothing at Gelson, but I haven't seen Gelson hit a freaking curler from outside the box like that. I think ever in his career, that's like never been the player he is. And when Rodinei stepped up to take that free kick he won outside the box, I was like, let Palma take it, bro. Let Palma take that freaking free kick. And Rodinei bangs it right into the wall. Like whatever. He scored a goal. He scored a goal from a free kick last week. But I think Palma had a goal, an assist, maybe 2 assists, 1 assist.
He had an assist on the first goal, for sure.
He had a goal, but I don't remember if he...
and like pass to assist. Like he's involved. He's there. He's there around.
He's another one we talked about a little bit, but like I ride the hot hand, man. I'm starting Luis Palma on Sunday. Like screw it, man. I'm not benching him personally. I'm not benching him.
The performance today, I think it merits continuation. So it merits him gets him a starting spot, I think, for Sunday. And I think Gelson probably, as he proved today, to come on as an impact sub can cause some real damage. He did it today, like he skinned their defense and got the assist at the end.
Gelson coming on at the 60th, 65th minute, running at 35, 36-year-old fullbacks and defenders, like it's a dream, man. And a Roberto Pereira who's also on the wrong side of 30, like it's a dream as a manager to have Gelson come on at like the 60th minute and run at some of these, like also. Yeah, we just played midweek. They're going to have to play again Sunday. AEK isn't used to having so many intense games back to back. Like, I don't know. We'll see. So my man and batch, I think I'm going to do Horta and give the manager an A. And I also found the photo, the representation of AEK. So you have the attack and you have the defense. There it is, right there for all the fans. There it is. That is AEK Football Club 2024-2025. The beautiful attack, the defense that it falls apart there at the end. So I was the one I was referencing. Thank you, Stefanos from Patreon group who sent that in. So
nice. I want to give a shout out to all the fans that are listening, watching, wherever they are. I've seen some people chiming in from Boston, from Zurich, from Scotland, Ireland, UK, Greece, obviously, Eladara, Yasos, Olympiacos, and maybe some others are watching us as well. Maybe there's some AEK fans. Well, no, they've probably all gone hiding into some holes today. Wouldn't you agree?
Definitely going to listen to that like NOC channel back. Oh, God, I love when AEK loses listening to that channel. Like, I don't know if anyone saw, but on Twitter, so they do match live commentaries. God rest your soul. I couldn't imagine doing Olympiacos match live commentary for 6-0. the guy was like doing it, and it's just brutal.
Oh my
Brutal
God.
for him. So yeah, I think on that note we can wrap up. We've been here for an hour and a half. I think we covered everything.
Been a good night.
and some.
It's been a good
Yeah.
night. Lots to be
Really good
thankful
night for
for.
Olympiacos.
Basketball signing as well. Just
Yeah.
to give that news as well. Saban Lee, combo guard from, well, he's American. He played for Phoenix and the Pistons for a bit. Spent some
Yeah.
time in the G League.
From Vanderbilt University.
Yeah, and he played for Maccabi, so he's got some EuroLeague experience. His highlight reel was pretty insane, man. Some of the games he had at Maccabi. I'm assuming he left because of the situation in Israel, and he ended up moving to Turkey to Manisa. Manisa were asking 600K. I think his buyout was 600K. In the end, the deal seems to have gone through for 550. So we've saved 50K there. The players signed a contract until 2027, so it's not just a plug to plug the hole until the end of the season. It's an investment contract until 27. Check out his highlight reel. Looks like an interesting player. Also want to give a plug to our friend Manolo, Manolo77 on Twitter. He is fantastic basketball analyst, scout. He has his own channel on YouTube as well. He's done a scouting report on the player, I think earlier in the season, that you can check out on his channel and learn more about him. But it looks like a very interesting signing. And EuroLeague basketball resumes this week. We play Bologna away. There's 8 games left until the end of the regular season. For those of you that want to buy tickets for Abu Dhabi Final Four, the tickets sold out immediately today. Even pre-sale yesterday, it was fully booked, and all the tickets are gone now. So I don't know. I think for those of you that have season tickets, there is a way to get in. But yeah, we'll organize something separate on basketball another time, but I just wanted to share that news. Weren't sure whether we would pick up a player before the deadline ends today, but it seems that, well, we have. So I think that's good news.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add?
No, I have one more thing. Friday anniversary of Tebbi. I think Gate 7 did a great job, and it would be poor of us not to mention it. Olympiacos as well, honoring, those people who lost their lives. And to everyone who is probably going to protest on Friday, all power to you. Stay safe, what can we say? But yeah, that was a great message from Gate 7 in the club before the game.
I mean, I hope that there isn't any consequences given the guidelines when it comes to political content in the stadiums. It's if I comment, then we're bordering on becoming a politically charged show. No politica. Yeah. I don't want to do that right now. But,
but just send our best wishes, to the families and everyone paying respect on Friday.
Absolutely.
Hopefully everything stays peaceful and people can respect the memory and, get justice for these people. So that's that.
I mean, okay, guys, another great night. Thank you for tuning in. Had more than 500, 600 people that have come through the live show. I think on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, Twitter, wherever you've been following. Thank you very much. Labro, do you want to cap us off? Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that. Hit the bell. Check out the vlogs, the interviews. Lots of new people have joined the channel over the past few weeks. We're over 6,180 subscribers right now. Getting bigger and bigger. We promised this on the last show before I forget. Centenary jersey coming out. The news that we know is that the centenary jersey, or the limited edition centenary jersey, will be worn by the team against Offi. That's the game on the 9th of March, 10th of March being the club's birthday. So we're expecting the team to be wearing the kit on the 9th of March. More details coming on that soon. Keep up to date with our socials. We're on all platforms: X, Instagram. Forgetting now, TikTok. Did I forget one? Facebook. Did I mention that?
I think you did.
All right.
Well, Costa, I'll let you hit the end button on the stream. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Huge game on Sunday. I assume we're going to be back. I think we're going to be back, knock on wood, after that one. And that hopefully is like a bit of a festive, exciting evening. Let's see. A win Sunday would mean so much for the fans, for the club, and, would be a nice statement on this week. So let's see.
We can create some daylight between first and second place. We're 2 points ahead. With the win, we go 5 points ahead going into the playoffs. There'll be one game left in the league against Offi on the 9th. And then we've got the games in, the game in Norway to look forward to. And we can talk about that another time. Again, last call. If you didn't vote in the man of the match vote, go ahead and do that. Let us know who you thought was man of the match by voting. And yeah, guys, like and subscribe. Costs you nothing, means everything to us. Help us to keep growing the red and white community globally. We are Thrylos International, by the fans, for the fans. See you next time.